Hey guys, welcome back to the Kampai Sugai podcast. Honestly, guys, it's been a minute. My wife and I we've been filming. I mean, we did a movie, we did a short 72-hour short film challenge. We did a film. The theme was origins. I don't know if you'll watch this. Well, actually, by the time you watch this, you might see it already, or you might not see it, depending on when you watch this. But yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a while, and um, but I got a great guest on with us today. Someone who is a coach, uh, motivational speaker, someone who's good friend of mine. We had a chat back on my old podcast, Talk Story podcast, and then he's been doing a lot of great things in Georgia lately. So please give a round of applause to my friend, Mr. Zac Sweat.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on. Yeah, talk story, man.
Of
And we
course.
were just I appreciate you having me on. I love the new platform. It's a cool look, man. I
Hmm.
love all the guests you've been having on, and you've always done cool. You've always been a very good host,
Oh,
and
thank
so I
you.
appreciate you having me on again. And I know like the original plan was for me to come out there, um, and just visit and then be on your podcast.
Hmm.
Plans changed, so we're here now. I'm still in Georgia. I'm cruising, but yeah, man, it's been coming up on 3 years since we sat down in Kaka'ako,
Hmm.
had our nice little juices, and felt that nice Hawaiian air, and talked about what I was about to get ready to leave the island to go do, and
Hmm.
set on this whole journey of just completely unknown, just another hero's journey, as I would call it, man.
Yeah.
I think we go on several of those in our lifetime. I don't think it's like a big hero's journey. I think we go on several small hero's journeys throughout our life, man, and that's what I've been doing, man. So it's cool to be able to sit down and talk again and kind of like catch back up.
Yeah. I mean, last time you were here, it was great because you had all these great ideas, but then Eternal Strength ATL was kind of something that kind of came up pretty much last minute to you, and it was something kind of like you had a choice, like you could just kind of jump into it, or like it's okay, but then it was kind of like that leap of faith moment for yourself, and then it was very unexpected, but you were called back to Georgia to team up with Wes. You know what I mean? So talk about that journey, because I mean it was a completely new concept back then, but then of course it's been 2 or 3 years now. So now a lot of momentum has built up. Of course, growing pains, but
Yeah,
you guys
feel
definitely
like
have like a new system. You know what I mean? Like you guys kind of got everything in place. So talk about that. Talk about those past 2 3 years with Eternal Strength.
it was, and yeah, well said, man. It was very unexpected. So, just a little bit of a backstory. Wes and I were best friends in middle school. We had a falling out over a Joe Perry signature Les Paul guitar. Over a guitar. We didn't talk for almost 25 years. Reconnected. He found me when I was living in Hawaii,
Mm.
coaching, building, and doing all my messages and speaking and stuff like that. So he followed me for a while. We started talking, and then he's always had this long-term vision of opening up a youth center, and then he had a thriving private practice. And so we talked and talked, and I originally bought my ticket to fly home to then go to Montana. That was the plan, if
Mm.
you remember that. It was
Yeah.
just to go on this other adventure, continue to build my brand, Zac
Mm-hmm.
Sweat Mindset, and continue coaching and speaking and writing. And he offered me a position, like to partner with him to help see his vision through, to help him build it and create it and implement things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I accepted that offer, and I flew home January 2020. And I had bought that ticket like a few weeks earlier. So when he asked me, I was like, I'm coming to Atlanta. I mean, it felt like I was being pulled there. And I was like, you know what? My plan wasn't to stay there because I had no car. I had no place to live. Um, I had money saved up. So I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
cool there. So I was cruising, but I was like, okay, I'm going to do it because my heart was being called to do that. And it just felt so right to do. So I flew home, linked up with him. I was still seeing clients online. I was introduced to his private practice. I started working with some of his clients as a therapeutic mentor. So we started the center like at his private practice, working together, sharing clients. So he would have, you know, therapy and family sessions with them, and then I would mentor the young person and sit with the parents as well. Anyways, we did that for a little bit, and then his wife Allison, who's been such a huge part of this as well. She probably doesn't get enough credit, but she's been such a force behind this entire thing, you know. And shout out Allison. And so we did that. She found the building, 8,500 square foot building. We built the infrastructure. We built the price points. And so he had a pretty big thriving private practice. So a lot of the clients came over from there. So we had a good start, the momentum built already. And so we got the keys in March. So like less than 90 days later, we got the keys. Yeah, we hit the ground running. I got home January 29th. We met up January 31st. And then we got the keys the third week in March. And then the pandemic hit. Right. Literally when the world's going to shut down. But we're seen as an essential service. Like we're technically in the medical field. So we knew that we can continue to stay open and just be safe and follow, you know, protocol with COVID. And so we got the keys in March and we opened the doors April 13th, 2020. So yeah, less than 90 days home. When I left Hawaii, when I talked to you, less than like 90 days later, we had a business and we were open. We had a team of 4. And we built our clientele, we built our marketing, we built our culture was really a big deal to us. Making sure that heart stayed at the center and what we were really doing this for, and allowing it to expand out from there, and not having, of course, we want to make money. You need money to run a business, but that isn't the goal. We're not trying to just make revenue. We're trying to, again, disrupt the mental health industry, approach therapy in a different way, allow kids to have a space that they can represent and they really want to be at, where we can drop the stigma of mental health therapy not being cool. Working on yourself is cool. Reaching your higher self is cool. So allowing a space, a funky center for kids to come and just, again, facilitating that space, man, because you can't heal anyone, but you can offer your strength, hope, and experience with that person and walk alongside them. So we did that, and then our team quickly built from 4 to 17.
Oh, man.
Yeah, dude, it was... Yeah, so we had a large team. We built it. I mean, we just kept growing. And, you know, to be really candid with you, Wes and I didn't have, you know, we were both entrepreneurs, but to run a large team like that and create a business it was really grassroots. It was challenging, man. And I know you mentioned growing pains, and that's a real thing. And like, to humble yourself, to ask for help. And eventually we got business mentors and we started really learning how to run a business. But it's been a funky ride. And so if you think of a community youth center that also offers therapeutic support for youth, young adults, and families, that's what we do. It's very, very client-led. It's very, very experiential. It's very relational. We're not trying to fix anybody. There's no program that we offer. Again, we're just offering a space of healing and growth. And so, yeah, we've been open. You know, April will be 3 years, which is so surreal to say. It does, like you mentioned before we started the podcast, that it just feels, it's been a long time, but it really feels like yesterday that you and I were sitting together
talking about this.
Talking about what it is, man. And it's been funky, man. It's been the most humbling and challenging thing that I've ever done. And I've learned so much along the way and learned a lot about myself, you know, and it's been awesome, man. I feel super blessed.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's incredible because like you were just saying, in the short amount of time, you guys basically got the keys to the infrastructure, and then you were able to open it up to the community, and then you built your team from four, four plus to now it's like 17, and it could be growing even more. And I remember we were talking about this, but you guys decided you wanted to like make other infrastructures in other states as well. So not just in Atlanta, but building it in California maybe, or
Colorado.
yeah, Colorado. Yeah, exactly. So I
Um,
mean, do you guys still have those kind of aspirations to build it even farther than that?
So we do, but I think it's funny because I do remember talking to you about that because we were on the verge of, man, you're good. We were on the verge. Sometimes I forget. Wow, you did your research, buddy.
It's funny. I just remember that literally now.
Oh, really? Wow,
Yeah.
you could have never said anything about it. I'd be like, man, this guy's really on top of his shit. I appreciate that because sometimes I forget it. So it's a really good reminder. And I think that the overall theme of doing this and being in the space of business and entrepreneurship and building a team and a culture
Hmm.
and a different way of doing things and approaching things in therapeutic industry, the message has been slow down,
Mm.
stay in your lane, do what you do best. Already know what you do well. Let's just not perfect that, but let's master that.
Hmm.
And then again, let that expand out from there. So the overall goal, yes, is to grow it. But we were on the verge, yes, of
Hmm.
going to different markets and setting up shop over there. But it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It
Not
was
yet, at
good on
least.
yeah, not yet at least. So
Yeah.
both parties were just like, you know what, this doesn't feel. Let's just hold off.
Mm.
And then we're going to move to a very large, like a 54-acre farm, and kind of partner with a
Wow.
school. And so we got very close to that, and that didn't feel right. So we pulled back.
Mm.
So I think we've been guided, and I think there's always a voice guiding you, God, whatever you want to call it, your higher power.
Hmm.
God, as you understand Him, I don't care what you call it. There's this force out there. There's this guiding force, okay?
Hmm.
And we can tune into that. We can work with that if we listen. And for a long time, we weren't listening, and
Hmm.
we struggled, and it was challenging. It feels like we were forcing a lot. But in the last year, we've been, again, we talked earlier, surrendering, allowing, and letting that voice really guide us. And it hasn't steered us in the wrong way. So really now the overall goal for now, as because our lease ends in April
Mm.
there,
Hmm.
and so the goal now is to expand our services. And so we model an intensive outpatient program, an IOP. We're
Mm.
not an IOP because we don't take insurance. So we have the creativity and flexibility to do the work how we want it.
Mm. Hmm.
We want to. And so we model that. So we want to do a wilderness therapy aspect of it. We also want to do a residential. So we want to get on our own land. We're looking for land right now.
Hmm.
And we want to expand our service into the wilderness therapy and residential, and still have the community youth center. And the community aspect of the business has been like next level.
Mm.
So right now, that's the focus, is to continue to grow the culture. We were at 17, now we're at 11. So
Mm.
we had some staff changes,
Hmm.
growing pains, as you called it. I think it's an appropriate way to say it,
Hmm.
without going too detailed.
Right.
I feel like we have the appropriate team and the appropriate leadership, the appropriate mentors, and the vision, and we're all rowing in the same direction, and it
Hmm.
feels good. And so we're just slowly expanding, and we're going to know when the time is right to move on the land and get it and expand services. So
Mm.
right now, we're not trying to we were at a networking event earlier this morning. Someone asked us if we were in a franchise, and we just laughed. No, we're not going to franchise because it's easy as a new business owner or a new, entrepreneur to start something with someone and really get fixated on revenue.
Mm.
Revenue. We got to make the most money that we possibly can. And I think that's what's wrong with the mental health industry. You got this financial business model
Hmm.
that I mentioned before that people just set up shop all over. And is it really about helping that person that's sitting in front of you, or is it just another, head in a bed? Or is it another number? Is it
Mm.
another revenue piece to your business? Which again, I'm not against making money. I'm not stupid,
Hmm.
but I just
But keeping
when
that culture, it's
yeah,
consistent too.
yeah, keeping the culture and the heart at the center, and then you can be abundant, and that will come.
Hmm.
And it's a little bit more of a slow growth, but it feels right.
Mm.
So again, the overall theme is just to slow down, man. We're not trying to get ahead of ourselves like we were. We're very ambitious. Wes and I
Right.
together, very ambitious dudes, and again, now it was his. It's always been his vision. So I'm just like his like number two in command. Like I call myself his muscle, his collector.
You're a tech guy though, man. So yeah, you could be the muscle.
Yeah, I'm like the operational side of the business. So implementing his vision and just being there, being his road dog,
Hmm.
and doing whatever he needs, man. Because I really believe in the mission, the vision, and what we're doing. And I've always believed it was a movement. So it's just so surreal to sit here and talk to you again. I just it's beautiful, man, to say we're
Yeah.
almost 3 years old. But we're still babies in the business world,
Yes.
like we're
Hmm.
still just babies crawling around, like trying to find our way and trying to find our footing and walk. But
Hmm.
we're still crawling. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I agree with the slowing down. I mean, that was the same thing like for me with like podcasting. When I stopped doing it back in like um August of 2020, it was kind of a slow down like mentality for me. I was like I kind of have to like reflect upon things and see like what I should do next. And I always, honestly, it was funny. Um January of 2021, I was already ready to go back into it. So it didn't take like a whole year and a half like I did to come back to it, but I already knew 4 months going in. Yeah, I'm ready to go back into it. But then I was like, I gotta come back with a different style. I have to do something completely different. I mean, if you look behind me, I mean, it's a new set, everything. I have all kinds of stuff here, but it was just months of planning and months of me just kind of. I mean, I could have done it a lot sooner, but I wanted to make a slow pace at it because I wanted to do it correctly, right?
Yep.
And I think like that whole process of slowing down, even for businesses, yeah, it's completely true because um, with such a fast moving market, we could start to forget why we got into business for
Well said.
whatever we wanted to do. Like for podcasting, like for me, if I went too fast with it, I would have forgotten why I decided to do it, which was to share stories and to bring people together and connect communities. And if I was more for the money about it, then the heart behind it would have been lost, right? And
Yeah.
like for you guys, I mean, with really just kind of building that culture, that foundation to like really expand it, people are gonna see that and they go, man, Zach and West. I mean, they're hard hitters, but it goes deep rather than wide. You know.
Yeah, it really does, man. And I think people are starting to notice that, because we didn't network or
Mm.
market ourselves that well, because it was a lot of word of mouth. But
Mm-hmm.
we knew that going in, and I think Wes knew that going in, and recruiting all the team that he did, and just we're gonna we have to keep the culture. And people talk about family and culture, but a lot of it's bullshit, man.
Mm.
Like they just say it's just like a poster on the wall. And it's like, oh, there's the mission and the vision, and they don't like. Again, you can say
Uh
that.
huh.
It's easy to talk about that stuff, but who are you really on the day to day?
Mm.
Can you practice those principles in all of your affairs? Can you do that? When it really shows up, can you be that person? Can you be that mission and that vision? Can you have that heart? Can you rep that culture
Mm-hmm.
inside and outside of your workspace?
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that? Can you show up as a person that you want to be that light, be that example? And I think, yeah, people are starting to take notice because we're building this momentum and we're getting out there more. And we'll go to a networking event and be like, oh, I've heard of you guys. Like, you guys are, I mean, because we show up how we look, and we're in the mental
Right.
health industry,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just like, who are you? Are you supposed to be here?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just real funny, the reactions, how people react to us. But Wes built a name for himself for quite some time, so most people know who he is. But we're getting into spaces where we haven't been before,
Mm.
and what's really cool is he's about to finish his PhD.
Awesome.
And yeah, so he just finished his dissertation. He's going to finish his PhD,
Wow.
graduate. Yeah, and I think he's going to graduate or walk in October or December. So that's just like I feel like that's like another layer,
Yeah.
you know, of like, yeah, dude, like we're solid. We got a solid team. We got the doctor at the helm here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, yeah, it's important to have the correct and pure intentions when you want to do something,
Mm-hmm.
and not to do it just to do it. Like you could have just thrown up your new podcast and try to monetize it and do it for that. But
Mm-hmm.
is that sustainable, man?
Yeah.
It's not sustainable because there's no heart in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no pure
Mm-hmm.
intention behind that. Money isn't you. That's not you. That's
Mm-hmm.
just something external
Mm-hmm.
that we use for an exchange of goods and services. And I understand the social contract in which we live,
Mm-hmm.
and we need money to survive. Understood. But that isn't you.
Mm-hmm.
If you allow your intentions to be driven by your heart and love and humility, man, that's a pure thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
And that is true abundance, not stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like having that heart center is important. And and for a long time, brother, I allowed money to be my motive.
Mm.
And it really, we talked about this through Instagram. I was texting you about, sobriety and
Mm-hmm.
stepping into that new space. And like, I built this self-image on who I thought I wanted to be, like this business mogul, work hard, play hard. I'm going to open this business and another business. I'm just going to have this big portfolio and be Mr. Wonderful and just be worth millions and billions of dollars and drive a Lambo. And that was like, yeah, that was what I wanted for forever. When I left and when I came back and all throughout that time, I was like building this self-image. That was my narrative, man, for a really long time. And I was starting to achieve. That's what's scary. I saw this external success happening around me.
Oh, interesting.
But on the inside, dude, I was slowly destroying myself.
Mm.
And I wasn't aligned with my higher self and my higher power. I wasn't.
Mm.
I was, but my external would have proven you different and proven you, to say, okay, this guy's doing pretty well. But inside I wasn't well.
Mm.
Which drove me into, admitting, again, this is like a segue or whatever, but admitting, I was an alcoholic on May 2nd of this year, man, not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my new sobriety date. But all that growth, all those things I was doing, all that personal development stuff, it was like I was doing it, but was I truly living that, man? Was I? Like, could my coaching have been better? Because I was sober when I left.
Right.
Remember that. I was sober for a year. And that was before the admission of having a substance abuse problem. I just was what is called white knuckling. Like dry.
What does that mean?
It's called white knuckling. Like when you grip something real tight, you have white knuckles.
Okay.
Like you're just on for dear life. Like I'm gonna take over. Not dry drunk is like not working a program, not working the steps, not having a sponsor. I didn't have the admission part. So I was like, I just want to see what drugs and alcohol look like outside of my life. And that's when I wrote my book. Thank God for that. I wrote it, Sobriety. Which is released and it's out. It's on Amazon. We can talk about that later.
We'll leave a link in the description too.
Yeah, we'll leave a link. Leave a link, Gavin. So all that stuff felt very surface level personal development. And then entering into this space, it's like all this external success was just valid. It was allowing me to validate my drinking. It was like that was the excuse that I used. I'm like, well, life looks pretty good. Why can't I just go do this over here? What's wrong with what I'm doing? Who cares? but it got really too close for comfort, and it got to the point where Wes and I had to have some serious talks, and I
Mm.
wasn't willing to lose what I had helped build and friendships and relationships and spaces that I really love being in. So I just decided, and I think that was like 20 years coming, dude. You know,
Mm.
because my dad died of alcoholism. My brother OD'd from drugs.
Right. I remember you telling me that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. So it's like all these red flags, and then yet something, you know, allowed me to step into a space and say, you know what, maybe I do have a problem. I'm going to probably look into that.
Mm.
Um, but you know, being in this program, so it's 136 days, so it's pretty new, man, pretty
Mm.
new. But those 136 days have been pretty beautiful.
Mm.
You know, even I consider this conversation as part of that beauty, as part of that alignment, as part of me being in alignment with my higher power, man. I believe that to be true. I can't deny it, man.
Mm.
I can't. It's just the missing link for me was a reconnection with God. It
Uh.
really was. It really was, man. I didn't know I needed it till I did,
Mm.
and still me, but a better version of me.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I know I went off on a tangent there, but I was just flowing with it, man.
No, I mean, like we were talking about earlier, you know, those 2 to 3 years, I mean, they're growing pains. You know, I mean, not just for the business, but for yourself as well. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that probably came into a lot of distractions. You know, that's all external stuff that comes into
Hmm.
honestly your life, maybe my life as well too, and it could really pull us away from what's the internal part. You know what I mean? Which is family, which is um, you know, kindness, love, good qualities. You know what I mean? Being able to be connected with others um, and God or whatever you know people believe in as well. I mean, I'm a Christian, so I can
Yeah,
say
yeah.
you know I'll say that being connected with God as well. Um, but yeah, having that interconnection, you know what I mean? That could be lost with so much distractions. I mean, COVID was one big distraction. You know what I mean? With a lot of people, especially like here in Hawaii. I can't imagine in Georgia. I don't know exactly um what would have gone over there with COVID, but I mean it's probably even terrible, you know, as well as in Hawaii. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, it was a distraction, but I also try to reframe it as best I can for it to be an opportunity.
Mm,
A lot of people maybe haven't sat with themselves. Maybe you weren't you were that close with your family because you had work all day, and now you're in these spaces, and like you really see, and that's what I'm talking about earlier. Is like, who are you when those difficult times show up?
mm,
That's the real you. Anybody can be happy when everything's good and golden, bills are paid, your partner's happy, work is good, you have money in the bank. That's really easy to be feeling good.
mm-hmm,
But who can you have a positive, high vibrational attitude when shit hits the fan?
mm,
Because that person who shows up when shit hits the fan, that's the real you. So if
mm,
you can observe that and how you show up in those spaces, you can learn a lot about yourself. And
mm,
that's what I think has been, because I feel like God's always trying to get you to see the path that you should be on with His will. But we're so hell bent on having things our way, and that's when the forcing comes in. That's when you maybe reach for the drink, or you consistently run away from things when they get hard, and then things go wrong, and then you want to blame everybody else but yourself. But
mm,
it's like these are all opportunities for you to show up and be stronger. And they're all lessons, man. It's an opportunity to show up as the person that you want to be, man. So
mm-hmm,
COVID was, I think, a huge opportunity for people because, people found out a lot about themselves, their families, their marriages, their relationships, what
mm-hmm,
they want to do. I mean, the whole world was changed from it, man, especially the way we do things, especially in the workspace.
mm-hmm.
You figure out, a lot of people are like, I don't even need to go in to do my job.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's like, I can do my job from anywhere. So I try my best to show up as that person of saying, hey, this is an opportunity. Like tonight, running out of gas on the, on the way, running
Right.
late, you didn't get mad. You're like, dude, do we need to reschedule? No big deal. I was like, man, I'm so sorry, my bad. But I was laughing the whole time it was happening, man.
Mm.
Like I'm a new writer, so it's like, I don't know how much gas that motorcycle takes. But even in that moment, I could have showed up. I could have been in a really shitty mood, and but
Yeah,
no, man,
true.
we're here. We're having good energy, and yeah, COVID was funky, but a lot of people were like, that was some of the best times of my life, man, because we were building the center,
Mm.
and I was building new friendships and learning and growing and humbling myself and being challenged and being pushed to be a better leader, a better person. So I look at COVID as like, it's weird to say because I know we lost lives and I'm not trying to discredit that. But for me personally,
Mm-hmm.
it was one of the best experiences of my life, man,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting to say, but it's just the truth, man. Trying to be as transparent as I can here.
Yeah, definitely. It was an opportunity for people. It opened a lot of doors or closed a lot of doors for people. Like for me, I mean, I was already like doing school from home. So
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
transitioning into like graduating while being at home was a different experience, but I mean, I was already used to it, and then even working from home was already I think like for me, I don't want to say like I know people believe in other things, but I think God kind of set me up for it just because like I was doing online schooling and then when I worked, it was kind of the same thing because I was already working online. So working from home, doing things from home, but then being able to connect with people from home, I was able to do. And it wasn't much of a difference. My wife started working from home too, which was a big blessing because we worked together. That's when we got into a relationship, and then we worked different jobs. But then now being able to work together at home, it
That's
was
cool.
such a neat experience, and it still is a great experience because it's comforting having her home with me, especially when I'm working, and then um like if I have a tough day, it's not like I could just kind of like vent into I don't vent that much, but like I don't have to like vent into like my own, stew into my own emotions.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I can connect with someone else, and it's a good feeling,
Yeah.
so but like with others, I know a lot of people struggled, with that, with COVID and the adjustments, making the adjustments to actually be able to live in not a new normal because it's not really like it's just an adjustment to their home life pretty much,
Right. Yeah.
and I know a lot of people had trouble with that too. So for yourself, have you seen a lot of like clients come in that maybe had hard times maybe adjusting to that new lifestyle?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it's interesting that's a good question because we work with, I mean, youth,
Mm-hmm.
and our main demographic, our main clientele is high schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
So you think like, oh, like as a kid, a lot of them thought, oh, this is awesome. I don't have to go to school. I can just chill at home. I can go online class.
Mm-hmm.
But what we found was that people need connection, man.
Mm.
You need community. We believe in there's healing in community. I believe there's healing in community, and I'm in a lot of groups, but we saw that, man. It's like it was good for a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
then it got it was like very very challenging for most of the youth that we worked with the isolation piece
Mm.
because they were by themselves. And most people don't like to be by themselves because they really don't know themselves because they're so distracted
Mm-hmm.
by all this external stuff going on or their phone or whatever it may be,
Mm-hmm.
anything external,
Mm-hmm.
which is, it's easy to be distracted for sure,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're at that age. You're going on what we call the radical pilgrimage of growth. I mean, it's a funky time. So it's like, they're not going to be like, you know, for the
Right.
majority of them, they're not like laser focused in on school and what they need to be doing.
Right.
They're growing. They want to
They're
experiment. They
still
want to go.
learning. Yeah.
Yeah, they find out who the hell they are.
Uh-huh.
They want to try different things. So, but it was the isolation piece that a lot of people thought they wanted and needed, but being in that space, they found out is the exact opposite. Like you
Mm.
need connection. Like you need even through this screen, there's a connection, but
Mm-hmm.
like being with a person in person
Mm-hmm.
is a completely different thing because you can feel that energy.
Yeah,
You
it's
know what I
part of
mean?
the that developmental stage, you know what I mean? Where
So a lot of the kids that we work with, they did struggle with it, and the parents for sure, because
mm,
it's like now you got the kid at home all the time. And so that was challenging. There's definitely change is inevitable, man. It's gonna happen.
mm-hmm.
Are you doing the preventative maintenance necessary to be ready when that change shows up?
Mm.
Or are you going to be like bamboozled when it shows up, like most people were when the pandemic happened, or when really realistically, when any change happens?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for that different thing that shows up for you that is really an opportunity in disguise? It's going to be packaged like a pile of shit.
Yeah.
But in that pile of shit, the beautiful gift from God, man. And
Uh-huh.
for a visual, you reach in there and there's something in there. There is something in there. I don't care. I'm not saying don't have your mourning process, your grieving process, a time that you feel like depressed or anxious. I'm not telling you not to feel those things.
Mm.
What I'm telling you is feel them. Don't try your best not to stay in it, and try your best to approach it from the stance of there's a lesson in here,
Mm.
and I might have to look a little bit further and longer to find it, but it's in there.
Mm.
I'm going to take that lesson and then implement it in my life so I can progress in a very healthy way, and be able to reach another level of myself and to learn and grow.
Mm-hmm.
But most of us want to run away. We don't want to go to do the opposite thing. When something shows up, change, pandemic, whatever it may be, we think it's all how dude, nothing
It's
has
an,
meaning.
yeah, they think it's an obstacle kind of thing.
Right. And the thing is, nothing has meaning until you give it meaning.
Right.
The
Mm.
God doesn't have this, like the universe, it doesn't have motive. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the spirit of life is upward.
Mm.
Nothing is out to get you, man.
Mm.
That's up here and in there. Now, if you believe that and these are connected, that's going to manifest in your life.
Mm.
Period. If that's the narrative you're running and the energy you're putting out, it's going to be answered with, people, places, events, occurrences, happenings, change that are going to answer your thought process and your narrative and the energy that you're putting out. So
Mm-hmm.
if you define that as bad, guess what? It's bad.
Mm.
You define it as an opportunity, guess what? It's an opportunity, man.
Mm.
So the narrative that we consistently run is going to manifest itself as true in our external reality, whatever we're holding within.
Mm-hmm.
Thought mixed with emotion is true prayer. So we're praying all the time. Prayer isn't just when you hit your knees and talk to God in the morning and at night.
Mm.
He's not like what Bob Proctor says, this cosmic bell captain waiting for your orders.
Mm.
Oh, that's not the way it works, brother. Thought mixed with emotion is prayer.
Mm.
So if you emotionally attach yourself to a thought or a narrative, or and that's powerful, man. It knows no time and
You're
space.
manifesting things.
Manifesting, it can happen instantly.
Mm.
So if you consistently do that, which you are all day,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to show up in your experience. So
That's an interesting viewpoint because, yeah, if you look at occurrences as just occurrences, right? You don't put emotion behind it, but when you put emotion behind it, then there's meaning behind it after that, and then reacting to it. It could be like let's just say, motorcycle. You run out of gas on a motorcycle, right? It's an occurrence, but there's a reaction to that. You can react to it and say like, man, this is a great opportunity for me to learn more about my motorcycle. Or you could be super pissed off and say, screw this bike. You know what I mean? And that
yeah,
kind of energy, whatever you put out, will manifest into whatever you do next. You know?
yeah, and it'll show up as more of whatever.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
your energy, your point. It's just going to be more and more. Like, what if I did get super pissed at that? And as menial as that is, it's a great example because it really just happened.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll show up in the external, right? Because your internal self is already thinking, like, okay, how am I gonna, like, what is this to me? You know what I mean? What does this mean to me
Right.
then? And then whenever you react to it, whatever positive or negative, that's externally being sent out into the universe, and then
Mhm.
you're
It's being
then other
it's
people are
being
gonna see it.
it's going to be answered all the time,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what. And man, that's God. That's whatever. Again, you want to. It's I like the program. I like the AA program because one, it says the God of your understanding,
Mm.
of my understanding, not yours. And you Christian, whatever you want to call it, like you can have a different viewpoint on God,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's still a higher power.
Mm-hmm.
Like God as you understand Him. So always responding with something,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also depending on you. And it's like the ultimate power that we have is free will.
Mm.
It's free will.
Mm-hmm.
But when we hand that will over to God, things get pretty beautiful, man. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been on both sides, and I stayed on the other side for a really long time. And now I'm on this other side. I don't want to do anything to distort the lens in which I'm viewing the world and God from. I don't want to do that anymore. And that's maybe with placing the wrong meaning on something. That's maybe not walking with love and humility throughout my day. And these things that we can fall into, but I don't want to mess up that connection anymore, man.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I just thought of another interesting because I never thought about this perspective, but during COVID, like you were saying, a lot of your clientele they're high schoolers. You know what I mean? That are learning from home, but then the parents are probably not used to that. You know what I'm saying? They're not used to that kind of interaction. So
yeah.
like, can you explain maybe like have you ever seen some kind of stranger interaction between like maybe parents just not being used to seeing their kids all the time at home or
Oh
um
yeah, man. I mean, dude, yeah. Well, I love our parents. I
mhm
do, but you don't know what you don't know, and you
mhm
can't give something to someone that you don't have. And so I think for even it's not only parents. I think there's a conditioning that happens that we get to a certain age, and we say, "I'm done learning.
mm
I'm I've learned it all. I'm good. I don't need any more learning." But the way I view it, if you're not progressing, you're regressing. You're never stagnant. Energy's always moving.
mm
So you're either, and again, change is inevitable. It's going to happen, man. So you're either moving forward or you're moving backward. Period. So I think for a lot of the times that I see is there's this cycle that happens that parents can show up and basically want to say, "Hey, can you fix my kid?"
mhm
We're like, well, it doesn't really work like that. And again, you don't know what you don't know.
mhm
So there's a lot of education we try to put out there. And dude, I'm not a parent, but I am a human. Dude,
yeah
being trying to figure this out. So it can be applicable to anybody.
mm
If you're a willing student for the rest of your life, you can learn a lot and you can apply that knowledge to make maybe a parent situation, a family situation, a lot better. So things that we do at the center is like, hey, not only is your child doing all this work, let's get you involved. So we can't make it mandatory as much as we want to,
mhm
but we highly encourage, and our strong clinical recommendation is let's do some parent sessions, and at least let's do one family session a month, because it's like if the child can come to the center and do all this great work
mm
and they're really doing it, and the parents aren't
oh that's
stepping
that
in.
support system, yeah.
Right. So, the child's going to go back to that same dynamic, the same environment.
mm
So that's going to cause a lot of friction.
mm
So we try to help and guide the whole ecosystem, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
The whole family dynamic. Let's work as a team. Because you guys are a unit. You're not
Mm-hmm.
separate.
Mm-hmm.
You're all a unit. You all got to figure this out together. So the I don't want to say results because that sounds really cheesy. And we're not about that because I think learning is lifelong. But
The
the,
progress.
the yeah, the best progress and growth that we see is when the family's involved, the kid is involved,
Mm.
and the parents are doing their own separate work, and then the family's coming together to do their work. And it's a beautiful thing, man. And that's when we really see that's when we see the healthiest of families.
Mm.
We really do. So, any parent or because again, it's a conditioning that we've adopted, or our parents are just like it is a different generation. I get that, but they fall into these ways, and we can fall into these ways even at a young age to say, I'm. This is just me. This is the way I'm going to be for the rest of my life,
Mm.
and that's a dangerous. I think for me, that's a dangerous game to play. Like I'm done growing. No, you're not.
Mm.
There's work to be done until you're no longer here. If you're waking up every day, you got work to do, man.
Mm.
And it's tough and it's painful and it's dark. Like a spiritual journey isn't like puppy dogs and ice cream and rainbows. I've mentioned that before.
Yeah.
It's a very painful process
Mm.
of uncovering some stored trauma in your body and in your soul that you have to sift through and forgive and let go of and surrender. And so when you surrender, you open up yourself, you know, and you allow for more beautiful things to come in. So when parents feel like they're done learning, it's challenging for that dynamic with the family. It really
Mm.
is. We can't make anybody do anything. I
Mm.
can't kill you, but I can definitely try to my best to give you again my hope, strength, and experience.
Your clinical expertise in
Yeah,
that
I
area.
really recommend that you do this, but again, the healthiest of families that we see is when the whole family is doing their work, and it's a beautiful thing to see, man. It really is cool, and I love seeing it and getting a message from a mom and just saying like their relationship with their child has grown and since they've been coming to the center, like man, that's next level. Like that beats everything that you could ever
Mm.
get, as feedback or as payment, I guess. That makes me want to sink into the mission even more.
Mm.
So, but yeah, the whole ecosystem has to do the work, man, or
Mm-hmm.
it's a funky ride.
Yeah, and it's almost like humbling yourself too, like going into a dojo, with
Yeah.
like for like martial arts, because I've been doing a lot of martial arts lately, but like forgetting what I know about certain things and just kind of going there just to learn, right? But I think families, it's probably the hardest thing too because they're going into a field that maybe they're just unknown about. They don't know too much. You're just kind of they go to you and they think, oh, you can fix so and so, right?
Hmm.
But it's not just about fixing. It's about being able to build that foundation again, and then they have to forget about what they used to know about maybe mental health or maybe about a situation that they know about their own child, but then they come into your center and they meet you and they have a session with you, and then it's more like experiencing something different, you know
Hmm.
and it's um honestly, I think what you guys are doing is amazing because the whole system that you guys are doing is completely different than a lot of other clinical outpatient clinics are doing these days, because you guys are doing very like what you guys call it, radical work, you know
Radical work, yeah, radical youth work, man.
radical
That's
youth work. So could you explain some of that, what you guys do, how it's completely different?
yeah, man. So that's great, man. I'm glad you brought that up because again, coming from Wes's vision, man, like he started to do that in his private practice in his dissertation committee. Kathy and Hans Scott Meyer, they're gangster, man,
Mm.
and they talk about radical youth work and implementation of it, and that's where I got the part of the title for my book is The Radical Pilgrimage of Growth, came from Kathy Scott Meyer's paper about radical youth
Oh,
work.
wow. Okay.
That's where my title came
It's a
from.
great title.
And I give her credit in the book. So I was like, hey, I didn't make up this title. I'm just like standing on the shoulders of giants here. But so radical youth work is, man, it's really essentially showing up. It's the most important thing is to show up as yourself, not having this agenda, going in with this like agenda to, I'm going to therapize this kid, I'm going to fix this kid, I'm going to project on this kid. It's really showing up as authentic as you can, no bullshit, because they can smell it a mile away, and then it's automatic shutdown. Showing up as you are with no agenda and just giving them space, man. And it's the relational aspect of it, right? So it's doing anything that needs to be done in that moment. What do you need in this moment? Let's go do that. What do you want to do? It's highly client led. It's like the kid comes in the building. What do you want to do today? What are you feeling in this moment? You want to go sit and talk? Do you want to go grab food? Do you want to take a drive? Do you want to go to the batting cages? Do you want to go on the half pipe? Do you want to go in the studio? Do you want to go throw pots in the ceramics room? Do you want to record a podcast? That's been huge in our center, by the way. It's anything. It's building the relationship, because you're not gonna get any trust from anybody unless you have a relationship with that person. Why would a kid show up and sit and tell me their life, what they're going through, when they don't even know who the fuck I am? So we find it very helpful is a flattening of the hierarchy, man. It's no longer therapist and client. Like, I know all this stuff. You're my client. Listen to me. Nah, man, it's right here. We're in this together. There's no hierarchy. We're not trying to do anything. And that's why we don't have a program. We don't have a workbook. We don't have a track is what it's called. We don't, it's completely customizable. So a lot of the intensive outpatient programs have a program that they fit the family to. So whoever shows up at that front door, this is the program that we have.
Fitting people in a shell, pretty much.
Correct. So that, dude, healing is individual. It's like Wes describes it really well. He says it's just another modality, man. It's like working out. I like lifting weights. You like to go do what did you say?
I've been doing like Kali Eskrima and stuff like that, and yeah.
You've been doing what?
It's a Filipino martial arts.
Okay, so you've been doing martial arts. That's your exercise. I like weight training. It works, but it's essentially the same thing. You got to find what works for you. It's all individual. So a lot of, and it works for some people, man. Some people do fit that mold. I'm not saying no one does.
Right.
But we are able to meet a family exactly where they're at. Maybe this young person doesn't need any therapy right now. And maybe they're so resistant that they're like, yeah, fuck that. All they want to do is come in and just hang out. Guess what? Let's do that then. The parents want to meet, cool. But again, it's just showing up as authentic as you can, flattening that hierarchy. There's no better than, or I know more than you, man. We're learning from these kids more than learning from us, probably. and then showing up with love, man. Like, really giving a shit, man. You know how many like mentors and our therapists talk to these kids outside of sessions, texting them, calling them. Like, these kids bring their friends there. Like, if you think, I mean,
cool. That's really cool.
We are a treatment center. We are a therapeutic center where we do have counseling and psychotherapy and process groups, but it's definitely a funky way. But essentially, it's what it is at its core. If you want to strip away all the, experiential relational stuff, I mean, it is psychotherapy, it is counseling, but it's done in a different approach. And these kids are showing up, wanting to hang out, wanting to stay after hours, coming to the community events, hanging out with their families there, bringing their friends from school,
Mm-hmm.
so it's radical youth work. I mean, I don't think there's the way I view it is, yeah, just showing up in an authentic way and just building that relationship.
Experiencing things, just
Yeah,
being open to experiencing it.
in the moment, dude.
Yeah.
Like day to day, it's gonna change.
Mm-hmm.
That young person might not need the same thing that they needed today, tomorrow.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And so you can't continue to show up and run this like procedure or
This one
this.
size fits all thing, you know.
Yeah, dude. It's to me, it's bullshit, man. And I'll
Yeah.
say it proudly because I see the work that we do, and I don't know many kids that want to show up and hang out with their therapist
Mm.
or call them face. You know what I mean? Like, I got a therapist. I love her. She's great, but I ain't calling her on my days off, man. I ain't texting.
Yeah.
I'm in another space. I don't need experiential work, man. I'm 40 years old, so I'm just like, let me just talk to you for an hour. You just listen.
Mm.
So yeah, man, and then allowing that kid to show up as they need to, because they're going through such a interesting time in life. And there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of change. They're trying to, find out who they are, what they want to do, who their friends are, who their parents are. Who do I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
They have no clue. And that comes with a lot of, that manifests itself in many different ways. So again, a facilitator of space, man. That's it. There's nothing, and we change it every month.
Mm.
So if a young person starts with us and they have a certain, therapeutic package that they do with us, like they do like 2 mentor sessions a week and one therapy session a week, and they're in a group, one of our funky groups.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Let's check in at the end of that month. Do we still need to be doing this? And then we ask the kid, hey, what do you want to do? How much are you willing to come up here?
Mm-hmm.
And so very, very client-led, man. I know it's like a very tangential way of explaining everything, but yeah, it's just allowing a kid to truly show up as they are, man, is very important. And us not having our wall up. We don't wear name tags. We don't wear uniforms. We wear fucking suits.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us are barefoot and covered in tattoos and just like doing our own thing, man. But they see the culture and the family that we've built there too. Like we're the real deal, man. We're not trying to put on this like unified front,
Mm-hmm.
being like this
Corporate, yeah.
You're like, fuck that, man. I did the corporate dance for a long time, but
Mm-hmm.
it feels real.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, it's a different type of like professionalism because like, there's people that could, I mean, like in Hawaii, they'll come in, a lower shirt, maybe some slacks and stuff like that. But then there's a different mentality, if like for you guys, it's like you were saying before, it's that balancing act because you maybe you strip away the credentials a little bit, right? You have the knowledge and everything, but the credentials, and you come to the level to where you can meet the youth at, right? And then from
hmm
there, like we were talking about earlier, that connection, being able to connect, and then I mean that's a beautiful relationship. You guys are able to connect with your clients at another level rather than just like you coming in for a session. Like no, they're just there to hang out as well. Being able to recognize that eternal strength is it's a safe haven for them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That they can come and express themselves and be able to learn, and then from there they're learning about themselves, and they're able to
yeah.
duplicate that mentality to their friends, to their family that may be struggling as well. And I think that's a amazing thing what you guys are doing.
Thanks, man. It's been really humbling to be in those spaces with those young people, man. And I'm not in at much one-on-one therapy anymore,
Mm-hmm.
mentorship. Um, but I'm there and I support the team and I'm there at all the community events. And we've done outings this summer like whitewater rafting, paintball,
Mm.
museum, high art museum trips. We did like a community trash pickup and
Mm.
just all sorts of stuff, man. We had just a barbecue recently. A ton of people showed up. We have live music now every weekend that's starting
That's
this next
amazing.
week. Yeah, man,
Mm.
kids have formed bands there. Like they
Wow.
have met friends there, formed a band, and now we give them a place to play and invite all their friends to come and watch
That's
them.
incredible. Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's just again, just man, that's their that's not my space. That's
Hmm.
not Wes's space. That's not the team's, man. That's theirs.
Mm.
They helped us build that. They're on their second annual art show. They're putting on their own art show.
Mm.
And it's just cool to see. They're like shooting. They're making a short film.
Nice.
They're doing a one act play. It's just we let them express like however you want to show up that day, man. We're gonna let you show up that day. Well, I mean, within reason, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be respectful, but yeah, man, it's been cool, man. So it's been a cool almost 3 years.
Mm.
Yeah,
Definitely.
man.
Just to
Yes, sir.
switch gears a little bit, I want to talk about your books because I remember before you actually left Hawaii, we actually talked about this a little bit, but you're working on some workbooks, but then now you actually have a full-fledged book as well. So talk about that process.
I have a real book. It's somewhere. Uh, yeah. I started writing that in Hawaii. Start with the breadsticks. Principles on how to not suck.
Mm-hmm.
A book written for the radical pilgrimage is a principle based book. And no, I wasn't done with it.
Okay.
When was I? No.
No, no, no. You weren't done with it, but you're in the process of like finishing it
I
up, I
was
think.
I was writing it. I was finishing it up. I released it, and it's principle based. There's like 14 principles. It's a workbook. There's like key points to remember. I was very inspired by a lot of the personal development books that I've read that
Mm-hmm.
are structured like that help me. It's like, okay, you read this stuff. What did you remember? Here's some prompts and some questions to apply to your own life. Like use that. So I finished that book and I self-published it. I sent it to like 20 publishers, dude.
Oh.
And I got a bunch of no's. But it's cool. Like I didn't like get hurt by that. I did a bunch of research and just like send it out to multiple people and you're most likely going to get a ton of no's. Sometimes it takes a year or more to even hear back because people probably submit them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like 20 publishers, and so I just self-published through this company called Book Baby, and it's again principle based, but it involves stories of my life. So it's like it's very conversational.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about my experiences and how I've applied these principles to my life to heal myself to a certain point. Um, and so it's really cool, man. I released it and I ordered, instead of putting it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble online, I paid to just get 100 copies.
Mm.
And I got the 100 copies and then I just handed them out for free.
Mm.
I handed them out for free for a long time. And actually, it's being used in two different schools. My book
Oh,
is
that's amazing.
crazy. So Fusion Academy, very good friend. Shout out Kristen Fusion. She's awesome. So it's being used in the classrooms, man, which
Wow.
is it's nutty. And then Core Community School is I'm pretty sure they're still using it. And it's really cool to do that. And then just recently I put it on Amazon. I was like, you know what? I ran out of books. I handed them all out, 100 copies. I was like, okay, now it's time to sell it. So now it's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble online. I'm very proud of that. And, people are buying it. I don't, I'm not trying to make like this, money's cool again, but I'm not trying to like get rich from selling books, man.
Right.
Um, but it's really cool that it's out there and I want to continue to write. So yeah, full length book. And then I got 3 workbooks. I had one workbook out when we were talking,
Right. Mm-hmm.
um, how to solve the square root of your problems. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a morning routine book. Then now I have a Rediscovering Your Power book. And then I have a how to achieve like 6 simple steps to achieve your goals.
Mm-hmm.
Just like my niche as a coach is like helping people find their starting point, like asking the correct questions, prompting them to stimulate and remind and reinforce stuff that you already fucking know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm here to kind of guide you and help find a starting point for people. So release that, have those 3 download. Those are the workbooks are free on my website. Did that and
I'll leave a
then
link
started. Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
ZacSweat.com. How you doing? And then and then I started doing online courses. So I have a couple online courses out there that you can download that are really, really cool. They're like audio lessons, which is those are cool, man.
Interesting.
I want to do like it's on listenable.com.
Okay.
And you can search my name, and I got a couple lessons there. I got a very high rating. I haven't done well, I don't know. You know, like put this out, this information.
That's true.
It's like,
no,
people think I suck. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's really good, though. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it feels good. Did that, and then continue to do my podcast, continue to do my YouTube and my messages, and then Wes and I started speaking at schools. So we spoke at a couple schools. We got another gig. We just linked with Cambridge High School, which is like right behind us. It's a huge high school. Probably speak there. I get it. Like we speak to these like private schools. So a lot of schools that we kids that we support, they go there, and so they hear about us and we come and speak. And so our theme is philosophy and strategy. He's philosophy, I'm strategy, because he's, you know, this licensed clinician about to be, you know, a doctor. And I'm this coach with all these certs and these books and this, like, you know, he has a lot of lived experience too. But I feel, man, it's interesting to talk about that because I feel like all that was such surface level stuff, man, compared to the work that like I can't wait to write again because I think it's going to be dramatically different than what I wrote before. And in this different space that I'm in now, man. I haven't been called to write again, but I know I'm going to continue to write. I think I'm going to write several books.
Yeah.
But yeah, having that out is really cool, man. And like very humbling to have people like text me and say, "Hey, I bought your book and it's good." You know, I mean, I'm always nervous when you put out your own stuff and it's from your heart. You're like, oh God,
yeah.
Like, what if they hate it?
Yeah, true. Like you're not really sure like what they think about, like, you know, especially like podcasts. You know, you just hope like I just hope people like enjoy it. You know what I mean? But you're really not sure until like someone tells you like, hey, you know what, I bought your book or I listened to an episode and like, yeah, I dig this, and like, okay, then that's great. You know,
like a little bit more energy and juice to keep. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and I do, and I want to keep doing that, man, because that really speaks to me, and I really enjoy doing that. And again, as my ethos hasn't changed, man. And I remember saying this on your last podcast, the most noble thing you can do is heal yourself and share with others so that they can do the same. And that's still my way of life. And again, it's like, it's the authenticity part, man. Can I show up and sit with a kid or sit with my team or sit with you or sit with another person and talk about my journey and how I walked into this unknown space and helped start this youth center and been building it with Wes and, you know, building this great culture in this team and have this thriving business. And along that way, like really starting to lose myself and then find myself again through sobriety and reconnecting with God and then sharing that, man. I recorded a whole hour video talking about my whole journey with sobriety, man. Like, I like to put it all out there, man. Like, I am not ashamed that I wrote this book and I have these workbooks and I was this coach and I was building. And then on this other side, I had this substance abuse problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not scared to talk about that, man, because I think that's
part of
healing
your
in
journey.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of my journey, man. I'm not going to try to hide that
Mm-hmm.
and deny that part of my life, because it's God giving me another opportunity to even show up as a better coach, to write a better book, to be better when I do sit with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't deny that part, but what I talked about is showing up as your most authentic self, man. Like, and that's it, man. I'll talk to these kids all day. Like, yeah, dude, my last chip I picked up was, a red chip, was a 2-month chip, or a 3-month chip. And, you don't get another one until 6 months. But going to these meetings, working with my sponsor and being vocal about it. Like, I know it's Alcoholics Anonymous, but dude, I don't care about staying anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I want to shout it from the rooftops. And it's supposed to be a program based on attraction rather than promotion.
Mm-hmm.
But I promote it. I don't try to tell everybody to go do AA. But it is through all the steps, the only one that mentions alcohol is the first step.
Mm.
The rest is just self-work, and it's a spiritual program, man. And I didn't know that.
Mm.
It's a very, very spiritual program. And so I dig that. But I'm not scared to share that part of my journey. And I think it makes me, I'm very authentic and transparent in my book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not scared to speak to that. And I'm not scared to sit here on your podcast and talk about it either, man, and share it with the world, man. Because maybe somebody's out there that feels really good about their success and they feel like they're in a good space, but maybe they do have a drug problem or an alcohol problem or whatever it may be. And they're like, no, it's okay because I have all this success. And I'm telling you, man, if your intentions aren't pure and they're not aligned with God, it's not going to be sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to be, man.
Mm-hmm.
I know you asked me about my book, and that's how I like to do this podcast. You ask me a question, I answer it, and then I take it completely off track. That's my MO. I just found that out.
Well, it's radical podcasting. You know what I'm saying?
It's radical podcasting, man. That's how I do it. I just flow, dude, and I don't have much of a filter.
Which is, which is fine. You know what I mean? I think like podcasting, it's like it can be the deepest form of conversation. Honestly, because sometimes there's like conversations that could be super shallow. You know what I mean? But people can see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like something like this is, it's about healing. Like for yourself, it's healing. You know what I mean? To talk about things like this, right? To get in depth about it, sobriety or even life experiences, growing pains, you know what I mean? But that stuff is past stuff. We can look forward from that. We can grow from that. And off topic, but I just thought of a cool like rebranding if you wanted to do it, but to kind of like mix your name in there. So you do like Zac Sweat mindset, right? But what if you did Zac Mind Sweat? What if you did that instead?
Yeah. Well, that's the name of my podcast.
Zac Mind Sweat?
No, it's Mind Sweat.
Okay.
It's Mind Sweat. So that's the name of my podcast. So you're there with it.
I like it.
So yeah. So that's the name of my pod. And I never have guests on like you. I don't do it proper. It's not. It's just
it's
me
hard
rambling.
Sometimes.
It's just me talking for like 10 minutes. It's just in audio format, man. But I appreciate that. I like where your head's at. But I'm there with it, man. I don't do it. I don't have like a proper format like you do. Like we have really good. Like I saw VJ Penn on there, man. That's like I was like, damn, Kevin's doing the damn thing, man. That's awesome.
That's a whole other story. It wasn't as complicated as I thought. Let's just say that. Yeah.
It's cool though, man. You're doing your thing. It looks awesome. It's very professional.
Thank you.
And I used to do mine on I used to video it.
Yeah.
And dude, all I do now is, dude, all when I record a
Oh,
podcast,
really?
I'm laying in bed with my phone on my chest. It's like this clearing at the end of the day and all these thoughts that I have.
Mm.
And I probably won't have to do it tonight because we're talking.
It's a
Um,
mind sweat. That's what it
it's
is.
dude, it is. It really
It's
is
a
a
mind
mind.
sweat.
It's funny because it is. I try to again stimulate that. Again, it's like even in the rooms, it's like I met this guy in there, and he says there's a lot of cool sayings that you'll pick up in AA, but one I love is vocalize to vaporize.
Mm. Ooh,
Say
I
it,
like that.
hear it,
Uh
man,
huh.
and that's what you're doing. Like you're allowing people again. I've always appreciated people have these platforms, and you're allowing people to come on here to vocalize, to vaporize
Uh huh.
whatever they're going through, and it feels good to get it out, whatever that may be. And
Mm.
I know I go a little tangential with my shares, but like that's how I do it in AA, man. And like even when I talk on my podcast or dude, you read my book, even in my book, I'm just like I just go.
Uh.
Um, and it's just like this shutting off this analytical mind, this editing mind, and
Mm.
allowing me to tune into this power and just like letting it work, through me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so yeah, it's good and not trying to overthink it, but yeah, man, vocalize to vaporize that
I
you can
love
keep
that.
that.
That's a great. I like that.
Yeah, or God, what does he say? I don't remember. It's something about writing. White something. Type it to wipe it.
Type it to wipe it. Huh.
Type it to wipe it. Like
Hmm.
write it. You know what I mean? Type it out to wipe it. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's just catchy, and it like the vocalize to vaporize really stuck with me because it's good. It's good, and that's
Mm-hmm.
your whole platform, man. So, anyways,
That's
I'm
amazing.
rambling.
I like that though. It goes back to healing. You know what I mean? Vocalize to vaporize. Type it to wipe it. You know what I mean? Those are ways to heal, and I think it's so important these days for for that. That's another way to connect with others, and I think that's it's super important these days because the pandemic and everything caused us to kind of separate or create divisions within communities, right? And but being able to do that, you know what I mean, vocalize to vaporize. Vocalizing, it could be things that's super negative, opinions about somebody, or it could be something even deeper than that. But being able to take that out of the equation and be able to connect, break down those walls, and be able to connect with communities again. That's such a powerful thing. And um, like what we're doing right now, I think this is such a powerful thing to reconnect, to
Yeah,
talk story again. You know what I mean? Because even if it's through Zoom, one day you'll come back to Hawaii, or I'll come to Georgia, and
yeah,
we'll connect that way as well. In person, because it's such a powerful thing. So,
yeah.
um, first of all, just thank you for coming on the show again. I really appreciate this, man.
Appreciate you being one patient with me, sir.
I'm super
For those
patient.
who don't know, we started really late because I was running late. But Gavin, he's a good dude. You've always brought good energy, man, and I've always appreciated
Oh, thank you.
your demeanor, man. It just seemed like a very good-hearted dude, and I've always appreciated that. And I love connecting from time to time, and it's really good to be back on your show. And thanks for letting me come on, man. It's always thanks for letting me ramble for an hour and a
Of
half.
course, man. I mean, how can people reach out to you? For like your social medias, your books.
Yeah, man. So if you want to visit zacsweat.com, you can get access to like my story and Eternal Strengths website, my YouTube, everything's on there. Social media. So my original Instagram got hacked,
Mm.
which is a bummer. So, but it's still Zac Sweat Mindset, but it's underscore Zac Sweat Mindset underscore,
Mm.
and yeah, that's pretty much it. You can find everything that you need on my website, links to the books. I'm not too complicated. It's a very, very simple website.
Mm.
It's not fancy. It's just like one page, a few buttons, and it takes you to all the links. It's like a big link. It's like I'm paying Wix for like a big link tree.
Oh, okay, good.
That's it, man. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
That's it, brother. I really appreciate you, man.
Of course, dude. And I was super blessed when we first met. You know what I mean? Back then, it's funny we connected on Instagram. You know what I mean? I think that was it. We first connected on Instagram, then we just started to, a lot of our ideas and thoughts really aligned together, and then we actually recorded. We met in person. I think we met in person first, then we recorded after. We met at oh, what's that coffee? It was at a coffee place, I think. Coffee shop. I can't think of the
Um,
name. Darn it.
I know, yeah, dude. I don't remember, but yeah, I
I want to
remember you
shout
gave
them
me a ride.
out.
I had a car out there. You gave me a ride.
Yes.
Yeah, like like a new Accord.
Yes. That's right, because I think you walked over, and then I dropped you off after. Oh, what was it? Something
I was doing,
Joe's. Something Joe's.
oh, right by the harbor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, that's awesome. That's right. I did meet you over there.
What
Um,
was it called though? It's something Joe's though, I think.
that was a fire, man, dude. You're making me miss Hawaii, dude. Be there soon enough. It just wasn't a good time for me, man,
Mhm.
and it was a very impulsive decision. And I was like, ah, maybe I need to reel it back. But I'll be out there again, man. But yeah, it's been cool, and yeah, I just really appreciate you, man. I really do, and I'm thankful for this space that you allowed and the conversation, and it's been really cool, man. It's a really cool way to. It's 10:30 here, by the
Oh,
way.
sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good. I'm not like I'm like jazzed up now. I don't even know if I can go to bed, but so it's a really cool way to end my day, is what I really was trying
Mm.
to say. So
Hmm.
I really appreciate it, brother.
Well, I'm super thankful that you were able to come on the show. I'm thankful that you got home. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
weren't stranded out there, and
I
uh,
like send him. I was listening. I had to send him a picture. I just was like, not that you didn't believe me, but I was like, here's a picture of my motorcycle. I'm sorry, like I don't have any gas. I'm parked.
I felt so bad. I was like, man, that's something out of the blue, but that's what we were talking about earlier. I mean, occurrences is just stuff that happens, but hey, let's end it off in some really good energy over here. So,
Cheers and
yeah, people that watch the show, they know that we do a Kampai at the very end. I haven't done this in a while, but for me, to you, hey, thank you so much. Um,
yeah.
Kampai to you, Kampai to your sobriety, eternal strength, ATL. You as a person, books in the future, Mr. Zac Sweat. Hey, man, I really appreciate everything, man, and you're such a cool dude. I really hope for the best for you. So,
Thanks,
Kampai.
brother. Bye.